You think they'd stop coming down here?
Gosh, stop protecting us.
No, I don't mean it that way. I just mean it's been days and days.
Damn Dawn firefighters. They keep getting all up in our yard.
Look,
I know there's embers in our roof, but I don't need them on my yard. Look at my roses.
Is this a southern accent? I don't know what it is. Look, I got one too.
It is whatever you want it to be,
It
baby.
came today. Okay. I couldn't figure out how to open it. I had to get a tutorial.
Look, she drank water today.
I did. I drank till almost noon. In my defense, it's because she made me leave, and
Look, I'm
I
not even
didn't
there,
want to
bro.
like experiment. Oh, I beat you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Julie.
I'm Alyssa.
This is Stitching at the Cabin.
Woo! Special episode. That's
Yeah.
mostly not about stitching.
Yeah.
You've been forewarned. I mean, we'll start with stitching like always, but there's some things on the itinerary, like lots of wedding stuff, but also probably why you are here is to hear what Plague 6 is.
7. I decided to keep 6 as ants, even though it wasn't a huge issue, but other people besides me had ant issues, so I decided Plague 6 can be ants. Plague 7 is the worst one we've had yet. And if
I
you
think
saw
it was
my
pretty
Instagram
cool.
post, it's because you weren't here. If you saw my Instagram post, you already know what we're going to talk about. If you didn't, stick around.
It's
This
worth
is something
it.
you'll probably only see in
And
Southern California.
You promised the people you would tell them about your criminal history.
Oh, I gotta tell you about my criminal history. I'm glad you remembered. I forgot.
So this is a whole episode full of reveals, secrets,
We better hurry.
lies,
Because this is
deceit,
going to take a while.
drama. Well, it's a good thing I didn't do my temperature tree then. It just slipped away from me. Today's week has been a long week. Today is August 19th.
It is.
And it has been a long 7, 8, 9, 24 days.
And hot.
So hot. I have finally reached the tip top of my temperature tree. I've reached the upper limit twice this week. I've not stitched it yet, so I can't show it to you yet, but I have done it. And
You
that
can
is
see
impressive.
mine. You can see how it looks on mine because I've hit the top almost every day.
The top is 110 on my scale, so we've topped that
Mine's 85.
twice.
If 100 is 37 Celsius, then 110 has to be 41, 42 Celsius.
It's a lot Celsius.
It's over 40 Celsius.
It's hot Celsius.
Yesterday, it was 106 here, but the thing said it felt like 115.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also learned that Death Valley ground can get to be more than 200 degrees.
Yeah, 201, I think, was what they clocked it at one day. 201 degrees.
Can you imagine just walking along, minding your own business? I felt like a bug. And you trip and you fall and then you burn yourself, like actual burns because you touched to the ground. That's a dangerous world to live in.
The high temperature there was 134, I believe. Can you live? Can you survive?
We looked it up. 500 people live there.
Yeah.
Like, do they live there during summer, though, or do they leave?
I don't know why anybody would live there. I don't know.
So, let's do stitchy stuff, and then we'll get into other things.
Okay, you want to see Keto?
No. Oh, I mean, yes.
Wow. Keto's got a lot of stuff on Keto.
Yeah, she does.
Because Keto is between super dark hair and super light hair. So I'm in the mid stage.
Lots of colors.
Yeah. So I've gotten a lot done. I want to get... Okay, let me try this again. I want to get close so you can see, but it might get blurry, so we're testing, so I can't talk in case she has to cut it.
Or we just make sure we take a picture. It's alright. It's alright. Just hold it there. Hold it there.
I wasn't positive if Vela was actually in the camera frame, because we can't see with this camera.
Yeah, that's true.
But
We should have
yeah.
a mirror.
Yeah, that's Keto. Did you want to take a picture
I guess.
of Ketonimus?
Sure.
Keto Bandito?
You're all awkward. Llama sideways. No, okay,
Yeah.
turning it more sideways is not more helpful. Okay.
I keep looking up there to see how much head is left, and I'm so worried that once I finish like this page, it's just back to look at all that sky. I won't even finish that this year.
It's not even
all
leaves.
that
It's
sky,
just sky.
sky, and then I'm gonna come back the other way, sky, and then I'm gonna smack the dinosaur in the head.
Maybe. I would hope so, but you might just barely miss the dinosaur.
No, I think I'll get the dinosaur.
You have your... Oh, but you don't have it up here, huh? Or you have it. I have it right here. You want to know, or do you not want to
I
know?
don't know if I
She
wanna
has it
know.
all sanctioned off into squares. You will! You'll hit a whole diamond.
Good.
You'll do the whole head.
Can you see
The
that?
whole dragon head. See?
So it's not color, but you know.
Whole dragon head will be in the 3rd row, because that's 2nd row right now.
It's
Cool, huh?
625 stitches wide by 790 something long. Let's hope I have my fabric oriented the correct way.
Well,
2 years into it. I think the date on that box said August 16th or something.
It was definitely
2008.
August.
So we just had a 2-year anniversary on keto.
Woo!
It's taken me 2 years to get smacked into the head. This is sitting here, but I didn't work on it. The Afghan, Christmas Afghan, I just didn't move it. So I don't want you to freak out and be like...
taunt me with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
My Chatelaine. I have been working in this section. And depending on the before and after picture, it may look like I did a ton. It may look like I did nothing. I told you before that the schnabel was off over here. But as you can see, I managed to get it all in anyway, although I may cut off a schnabel up there in the process. But oddly, this one, all of a sudden, I couldn't figure out how to count. Like, okay, shh.
Wow.
Shh.
That's a surprise.
That's not what I meant. I mean, when I did the other arches, for some reason, I didn't have an issue with, like, lining anything up. And this one, I, like, did the arch floof to make sure this was in the right place. And, like, this was all, you know, but I'm just saying, like, this, I've struggled to make sure this one's in the right place, but I didn't with any of the others. I don't know what I did differently.
Can you pause? Jacob's sister's calling me.
Yeah.
Please hold. Sorry.
We're
Hello.
back. Did you want to do something, or do you want me to continue? I have 2 more.
Let me do something.
Okay.
I spun Mill Hill, and I worked on Mill Hill.
This is a shock to me.
Not a lot of Mill Hill.
You did it in, like, 1 stitch, and you're like, okay.
I did it! No, I did more than that, but I was on the sofa, and I didn't have scissors, and...
Are you sure this is
Mill Hill.
recording?
Pretty sure, probably. If not, we'll do it on Friday, it's fine. Okay, so here's my little hedgehoggy.
He's so cute.
Yeah, without a before and after, you probably don't know, but I just did... there's 3 or 4 different colors for the backstitching up here on his little head.
So you may want to go closer.
And so I did color number 2, I think.
2.
Yeah. 2. Maybe 3. I don't know.
No,
There's still
3.
more. I mean, like, look how he doesn't have anything back here, so all that still needs to be done. But the difficult thing about all this backstitching, besides there being 8 million little pieces, is that it's really hard to mark it off on the pattern. Because a lot of the lines are solid, some of them are dotted. So I have 2 or 3 working sheets in here marking them off, because once I mark it off, now it looks like there's solid lines, right? But there's actually solid lines on the pattern, so then I have to do a fresh sheet of pattern in order to see where the actual solid lines are.
It's really cute. I wish you'd finish
It is really cute. I thought that all the backstitching would be fun, and I was wrong. I'm not enjoying it quite so much. But the wheel spun it, so I did it, and I did it,
I'm proud of you.
and it's done.
Oh, I have to say, if you don't like backstitching, you wouldn't like that square on the Chatelaine.
Yeah.
That made me realize I don't think I'm a black work type of gal. I've never done black work, but I don't suspect I would like it.
We learn something new every day. Go ahead.
I don't know. Temperature tree?
Speaking of hedgehogs. There's a hedgehog
Oh,
bag.
I'm like, there's a hedgehog in my temperature tree?
You should. Pretty cute.
Yeah. It's hot.
Look at all that red.
This is the hottest color. Notice how many days that is the hottest color. A lot of days. I want to point out that I did look at the history at the cabin, and it had never been over 86. So I manually set my highest temperature. I did the math, I mathculated, and I set my colors based on what the lowest had been and the highest had been, and then I did all the math in between. I'm regretting that decision because this year, 85 was not the high. It has been 92 days so far this week. 90. Don't know what that is in Celsius, but it's less than 37, maybe 33, 34, maybe. I'm trying not to set off everybody's devices. We apparently set off devices. So, yeah. I am getting to the point where I'm worried I'm going to need to do more branches.
Same.
When I realize I have the rest of this month and all of next month. I have an itch on the bottom of my foot. I hope you guys can't hear that because my foot's by the camera. But...
Yeah, I might have to, if the wheel doesn't spin the temperature tree, I might have to do it and whatever the wheel spins.
I just want to point out I'm wearing pants and I'm not happy about it. But
this
left.
This is likely one of those weeks where you might have to skip a week. Just like throwing that out there.
Wow.
Just giving you a heads up now, just in case it happens.
Doing yours or am I doing mine?
Go ahead and do yours again.
This was what I spun for the weekend. Language of the Flowers, which I was not unhappy about because I do like it very, very much. Itchy foot. $14. I apparently crinkled it in here a little bit. I did stuff. Hopefully
Stuff was done.
there's a before and after so you can see what stuff I did. I don't know what's in frame and what is not, and I don't know how close, how far. Still love it.
Oh gosh, so crinkle.
Still love it. Itchy foot.
I'm sorry.
That is really odd. I don't know why that one foot's itchy.
You did a lot.
Well, I think you just had the wrong before the picture, maybe.
No, but from last week, you've done a lot.
I know I did the bee and the thing under it and a lot
all
of
of
the
that
blue
and all of that and all of that
and both
and
of
I
those.
think
Maybe
some
that.
of this.
I think that was in, but I
yeah.
didn't do the. We're
Yeah.
just all talking down here and you can't see. I think I did this and almost all of that and a lot of that and more of that. I did do a little bit up there and that.
See, lots.
Lots. I am not going to the cabin this weekend, so I do not expect to have as much stitchy time,
Right.
but we'll see. Somebody's
Which
having
is why it would be a good idea for us to not film next week.
I disagree. She's having a bridal shower this weekend, so
Woo!
I have to be there. I won't know anybody else really, but I'll be there with bells on. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling.
Please don't wear bells.
Now I'm gonna wear bells.
Okay, so I know I spun Mill Hill, but like I also wanted to work on Universe Jar because I had started working on it last week and I really enjoyed it and I forgot how much I loved it, and so I worked on more of it again.
In a.
Universe in a jar.
I'm just adding the in a
In a.
since you don't say it. I feel like it needs to be said.
Randall Spangler. There it is.
25 count.
I
Two
did,
over one.
I did not do as much as I did last week, obviously, but I did a fair amount. I got all this blue in, this chunky blue, and filled in a lot of the gaps over here. A few ninja stitch situations. So, I mean, the bottom of the page is right here, so I've hit it a few times. So I just got to fill in these gaps, and then I can work back up here. And all of this is that dark blue, like over here. So it's going to be relatively quick to finish that out.
Well, now you jinxed it.
I mean, there's no reason it shouldn't be relatively quick to finish that out. So I'm glad I worked on this. Ooh, it's my snack nabbit. So I'm glad I worked on this. That would
Could you
hurt going into
imagine
your foot.
stepping on a snag nabbit?
Nope, that would hurt.
That would more than hurt. I'm glad you're still working on it.
Yeah, I really, really, really enjoy working on it. So I had to do it this week, even though it wasn't what I spun. But I still, I still did the thing I was supposed to do.
Good
Don't get
job.
mad. I just did extra.
Still having noodles in the.
I still have not eaten my noodles, though I did have some of these noodles the other day. It just wasn't this box.
And I have fresh milk. So, well, I did. I don't know if it's still fresh, but.
Well, it's only been a few days.
True. But,
It should be fine.
hot.
What'd you do to it? Well, it's not hot in the fridge.
No.
Oh, I have it. Okay. I need your advice, and I'm gonna forget. So I'm just gonna throw it in now before she continues on with all of her, jewelry show. Both for this wedding and for the one next year, I'm getting flowers delivered to the house a few days before the wedding, and then we're arranging them and doing stuff. And they say that you should put them in like a little tiny bit of water in these little vases and then keep them in a room or a refrigerator that is between 35 degrees Fahrenheit and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And as you can tell from our temperature trees, it is not that temperature range at our houses. And end of September, like hopefully it's a little bit better, right? But have you had to keep flowers alive? For anyone who has had to keep flowers alive for a few days, do you have any suggestions on how to keep them in that temperature range? Like,
AC.
Where do I put them?
You just turn on the AC for 3 or 4 days.
Keep it below 75 in the house. The AC, the electric company turns off our AC, so that's not really feasible. So do you get like a window unit and put it in your like laundry room and just keep the flowers in the laundry room? I mean, like, what do you you get a cooler?
Do you have like an area like under the stairs, you know, where there's no, it just gets, it's dark and gets no real, although will dark kill flowers?
That's a great question too. I don't know.
Do they need light? I mean,
well, you can keep them in the
light
fridge.
to grow, but
so probably not.
But there's lights in the fridge.
So it should be fine. I don't know. So maybe just to find a dark room in my house. The only one I can think of is that extra closet we have in our bedroom. But that's upstairs. And that's not a good idea, it doesn't seem. And then we have downstairs in that torn out room, that bathroom.
Do you think Granny would want to keep some flowers? She lives closer to the ocean.
That's true.
I don't know if she's 70, because I think she was almost 90 yesterday.
Yeah, but that would
not
at least
age,
be closer.
temperature.
Yeah. So anyways, any suggestions for keeping flowers alive for 2 or 3 days before ceremony would be helpful.
Maybe go to the grocery store and have a conversation with them about the walk-in, like Albertsons has that walk-in.
Will you keep
flower
my box in there?
Don't know.
Don't know.
Okay, haul. I still did the depression shopping thing, but then I told you 1884 Stitchery McKenna keeps putting stuff up, and
Did you see I linked it?
No, I didn't.
I did. I linked it in the last video. I guess I'll link it again here too. But it's in the description below. I linked the shop so that way you can go and check out the ever-updating selection of stuff that's
it updates multiple times a day. Like, I'm on it every hour, like, checking.
Does my hair look totally horrible or just, like, normal horrible?
It's normal horrible.
Okay, good. Because my ponytail did not originate on the side. It started in the back and now it's here. So, just making sure.
The last bunch of Stitchy stuff she put up, the last Stitcher stash, was like my jam. This one, because it's a different version now, less my jam, so probably more of you would like it. Because, you know.
Typically.
But this I bought before and they just hadn't arrived. Actually, they probably had arrived, but I didn't know because the post office didn't tell me and I don't go out and check my mail every day. But this is Little House Needleworks Winter Wonderland. So cute. I'm going to tilt down.
I'll take a picture of that too. That worked really well last time though, when you tilted down.
Yeah. Audrey Stitchy Witch Flay 2 had that public service announcement. Basically, it was idiots tilt things down to get the glitter off. I mean, she may not have said idiots, but I know that's what she was thinking. This one, I wanted to try a Chatelaine thing, and then I saw this one, Chevalier. I think that's how you pronounce it.
That's
and
very
it's pretty.
fancy.
But there was supposed to be a purple version, and I thought it was in here, and it's not. This is just the blue version, and I can't find the purple version online.
So maybe
But
it doesn't
that's okay.
exist.
I do like the blue.
Down.
Well, and even online, it says something about if you do the purple version, blah. And I'm like, okay, so there is one, but I can't find it. But whatever. Wow, that was sexy. And then this is one of those $2 charts. For anyone that's new, when I say two like that, it's because Kona Eclectus, a bird, bat wings, she says two that way. Two. And now everybody says two. This is a $2 chart. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. And I want you to know it has that little thing in it. That little thingy. That little metal thingy. It's in here. I'll show you. Hang on. I'll show you. I just don't want you to see the chart that's in there. See? See? It's there. Probably wasn't even in frame. Okay. So then I had decided I was done buying. I was good. For those wondering, I don't know how my dad's doing. It's a very complicated relationship. My sister tries to talk to my stepmom kind of often, but she wasn't responding for a long time. Stepmom, not my sister. I did hear from my sister today that she did finally hear from my stepmom, and my dad is on pain meds, and he's calm. That's all I really know. But in case you were wondering. So anyway, a few days ago, McKenna had said that she was going to post fabric, and I told you guys she was going to, and she did. And I don't know what the rest of y'all were looking at, but I saw sugar maple fabrics, and I bought all 4 of them. Didn't even, look at anything else. All 4, and then the chart that I knew that I wanted because I've been eyeballing it before. Sugar maple has not been available for I don't even know how many decades, and I love it. That's what my Celtic summer is stitched on. Lavender and lace, that violets in the shade, and I love it. So I grabbed these. I couldn't tell what color they were. I didn't know anything. I didn't care, and I'm so happy I got them. So before I show you the sugar maple fabrics, I did buy this Country Cottage Needleworks Joyful Summer, and it was already kitted.
That's nice.
So aren't those colors beautiful?
Yeah.
Look at all the pretty colors back there. And it has birdies. Look at the birdies.
They're not as fat.
Birdies. I know they're not as fat, but they're variegated. And I am also a sucker for nice variegation. So I'm excited about that. Okay. Sugar maple. I will pull these out and unfurl them. However, folding them back up, not so great. This is called Some Shadowy Place. Sounds kind of ominous considering how happy it looks.
It really does.
That is some shadowy
You know, it might
place.
actually be better if you fold it in half, so that way the light doesn't shine through it so easy. Yeah. Very pretty purples, greeny yellows.
It's very pretty. I don't have any idea what I'm going to stitch on any of this, but that one says it's a 28 count Lugana 27 by 36. And then we have Dusk. It's a 28 Lugana 13 by 18.
Yeah, it doesn't really look as sad as it looks.
Yeah, Dusk. Doesn't seem... But it's kind of almost a periwinkle.
Yeah.
With like whitish. I don't know what I'm gonna stitch on it, but you can't pass up sugar maple because they're amazing. They're so soft and amazing, and you can't get them. This is a 32 Lugana 18 by 27 Dragon Moon. I think this is just a solid color. If it's not, it's very lightly not. It's like a blue, like a, what would you call that?
Darker
blue?
baby blue. A baby blue mixed with a sky blue.
It's sort of like denim, only really
Warm.
stone-washed denim. Like inside out, like the pant legs inside out is what that looks like.
It looks like summer in California, but when there's a little bit of an ocean marine layer and you're looking up at the sky.
That's helpful for people in other countries.
That's probably helpful to, that is helpful to like 10 million people.
Now this one, the thing got like wet apparently, the sticker at some point, so I don't know what it is other than Belfast. I did try to hold a ruler up yesterday and count, and I think it's 32 count, and I think it's 28 by 27, but I'm not the best measurist. But this is my favorite one. It's called Jelly Bean.
I really like those colors a lot.
This is
That's kind of what Kevmo's stitched on.
Oh, I was like, this does not look like Kevmo. Kevmo's a hyacinth. He's blue. It reminds me of a big stick. You probably didn't have those. When I was a kid in school, sometimes we get big sticks. Well, they weren't push pops, but popsicles, and they're like this color. This is like a faded big stick. Isn't that pretty? It's so pretty. Again, no idea what I will ever stitch on it, but I like to fondle it. It's beautiful. That's my haul. Woo! Yay me. I told my husband it was the holy grail of stitchy stuff. He laughed, because every time he buys something, he tells me it's the holy grail of whatever category. So yeah. I should spin for the weekend.
Yes.
Although you should spin too.
Yep.
And I don't know how much time I'll actually get this weekend, but I probably shouldn't record it till I get in it because I have a tendency to hit Instagram instead of Tiny Decisions. Ooh, I did it. Oh, wrong one. Pull down on that side. 3, 2, 1. Yay! We're recording. Oh, make it go up. Yay. Okay, here we go.
Thank you for counting down when you hit go.
1, 2, 3, boop! I like Celtic season. That's my lavender and lace.
Nice.
Doop. 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 Are you gonna... She's just talking to someone.
We're
talking to
setting
Steve.
stuff up, man.
Who are you talking to Steve? Steve's my son. You'll hear about him a lot more in the saga of what happened.
Okay.
Let me send this to you.
It is recording now. Which isn't helpful at all because I need to find Tiny Decisions.
I'm doing bad things.
Wait, did you only spin for the weekend?
Yeah. Because I don't have garage project anymore because he never goes into garage anymore. So until he starts going into garage again.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, ready, and I'm spinning.
I almost airdrop this to you.
Don't you do it!
No help.
Why do you want me to finish it so badly? I know it's close.
I airdropped it to you. And you're still recording.
Well,
so.
okay. I guess that, in theory, works the best because I can work on Mill Hill, and then when I'm not working on Mill Hill, I can work on the temperature tree, and it'll be a week of getting all this stuff done.
Which sounds to me like we're not recording this week. This next week.
That sounds more like we are recording this next week so I can spin something else.
Okay, let me take a quick drink because unless you want to do wedding real quick, this story is going to take a while.
Let's do it real quick before we move on. Okay, so this week in terms of wedding woo-haws, I don't remember if I told you last week, but the Belinda, who is my wedding photographer, has agreed to do our ceremony this year. So and the one next year for no extra cost.
You did
basically. Mm-hmm. So we have solidified those plans. Those are good. All of my other vendors successfully moved to next year. We're all good there. I also scheduled my hair and makeup trial to be the morning of our wedding this year. So I will have hopefully good hair and makeup. I mean, if it's not, then I don't want to use these people next year anyways, right? So trial makeup. I'm going to have it for this year. But the big woohoo is that today, the reason she is wearing pants is that we had to go get the
dress.
Yes, but I'm thinking it's not appraised, altered. Get it appraised.
It's really worth. I got the receipt, so I can tell you.
Yeah, so we're getting it altered. So I got to wear a dress that was basically my perfect size. The only problem is that I'm short,
it really
so they
was.
need to hem it. But otherwise, it fits totally great. So I got to see myself in a dress that fits, in great lighting, and it was beautiful. And we got to take pictures this time. So I got to send people pictures. And although I don't want you to see the pictures totally yet, I was going to throw in a teaser picture of what one part of the dress looks like. So I have thrown in a picture.
I thought you were also going to throw in the one where it was hanging when we walked in.
I can throw in the hanging one as well.
You won't be able to figure it out from that.
No.
But it is beautiful bustled. Although there's going to be 872 bustles and each bustle is $25. I wasn't thrilled about that part. I'm so thankful it fit her as well as it did because I don't think I could have afforded
to have them take it in, pull it out, stitch that closer.
Just the hemming was a shocking amount of money.
Because my dress is not only multiple layers, it is also lace, it is also beaded. There's also
sequins.
There's mesh. There's see-through, in
mesh.
No, but what do you call them? They're something mesh. Back. No, it's a something back.
Illusion back?
Yeah, it's an illusion back and sides and stuff with lace overlay. So,
and we did confirm that should she turn into a fat pig and gain 600 pounds, they can't help her. But if she only gains, 10, 15, 20 pounds, they can take it up a couple sizes. So if she were to get pregnant before the next wedding and lose some weight, but not all the weight, they can
make it work.
Whoosh it. But I told her I wasn't paying for that one.
No.
One alteration is good enough.
Yep. So they are currently doing all their stuff, and we are supposed to pick it up September 19th?
No, September 19th is the next fitting, the final fitting.
Well,
we picked it up on the 24th.
Yeah. And I think it actually is the 18th, not the 19th.
But I think
whatever.
The 18th.
And then we pick it up a week before the wedding. So that's
looks so
really excited.
So
I'm so excited to finally have pictures of it. So now when I'm thinking about it, I can look back at those photos. I just gotta make sure Jacob doesn't take my phone and look at the photos. So he shouldn't. But
I have them on my phone too. But I'm not supposed to show her dad, so
yeah.
Excuse me. I showed him the teaser shot, the one when it was hanging when we walked in the room, because
yeah. But it looks so different on. And the pictures also, mind you, do not capture the sparkle.
Not at all.
At all.
Not at all.
At all.
Not even a tiny
And I
bit.
can't even imagine what this dress is going to look like out in the sunlight. I think it's going to be spectacular.
We'll wear sunglasses.
Sheep glitters.
Okay.
So now you can move on. Which one do you want to do first? Do you want to do your criminal history or Plague 7?
Let's start with the criminal history.
That one's easier to
Yeah.
get through.
So, if he's, so 10 years ago, maybe, I was laying in bed one morning, and my husband walked in, and he set Taco on my chest. Taco was not our dog. I had never seen Taco before. However, I had heard stories from Steve that the dog chased him, because the mailbox was way down the street. It's a community mailbox at that house, not the house we live at now. The dog would chase Steve, and he's not that vicious. He's a Chihuahua, but Steve was smaller, and I think he was annoyed that this dog kept chasing him. Anyway, my husband literally sets Taco on my chest and says, take him to the vet. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, there's a dog on my chest. There's a dog on my chest.
And it's strange. You don't know if it's friendly, if it's like,
there's a dog on my chest. And he's like, yeah, I was taking the trash out, and he ran up to me and threw it by my foot, and I think you need to take him to the vet. I'm like, okay. So, I gotta get out of bed, get dressed, juice. And
all the while you're side-eyeing this creature.
Strange thing, and then it didn't have a collar, and like, how am I gonna, don't bite me. So I take it to a vet, not a regular vet, but a vet, and they took one look at him and said he needs some help. So they hooked him up to an IV. He was extremely dehydrated. He had a tooth issue where the tooth was like green and rotted and wiggly, and so he was having issues with eating, and it was infected. So they said they would give him antibiotics, but that it was going to have to be pulled and would have to be done under anesthesia. We'd have to take him someplace and have surgery. They also said his jaw wasn't lining up quite right, like somebody had kicked him in his face. And he has a knee that's turned sideways. I guess that's somewhat common in Chihuahuas. But anyway, they said like he wasn't rabid, he wasn't going to kill me, but he definitely needed medical attention. And they had microchipped, and there was no chip. So
it's your responsibility now.
So I paid all the money for everything except the tooth thing. And we did take him to the regular vet, and they operated and they took the tooth out. And so he was our dog because I claimed him. So, well,
because at that point then you liked him.
Yeah, I did like him. He was crazy. He was this crazy, vicious little tough guy. If I can find the picture, I'll give it to her because it pops up on my Facebook every so many years. So I can't guarantee I can find it, but he was a tough little cookie, and if I can find it, I'll send you the picture.
He was muscly too.
Yeah.
He had big muscles because he ran around the neighborhood all day, fought off all those evil coyotes.
And he wasn't fixed, so he had a lot of extra body parts that he no longer has, because we did eventually do that as well. But this was
you
later.
have to license your dog, I think, in California.
True. So a little bit of time passed, and I was taking him for a walk one day, and we hadn't gotten real far, and some woman pulled up in the car, and she leaned out the window, and she said, "Is that your dog?" And I said, well, I mean, kind of. We found him a couple of weeks ago. And she said, okay, because I have rescued that dog. And I was like, what? She explained that one day the dog was at her house, and so she rescued it, and she knew it was the people that lived on the corner. She knew it was their dog.
Down the street, just a few houses.
Yeah, from us. And so she had gotten in touch with the owner and said, hey, I have your dog. And he said, just toss it in the backyard, I'll come pick it up. Well, we live where there's coyotes, and it's also 100 and something degrees.
And you see his size, right? I mean, he's
little. Like, he's gonna die out there. So she was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'll just keep him inside, but you need to come get him. Days passed, and then finally he showed up and picked up the dog. And so I was like, oh, that's not good. She said, you need to keep that dog. And I said, okay. So we walked some more.
Are you going to point out the state of house that he had?
No, but I could. That house was not real well taken care of, and I think they also had a bird for a while, because at one point I did see a cage that they were throwing away. They were not the friendliest of people. Not that I had met them, but, you wave at people, they don't wave. It didn't...
I remember there was always trash in the front yard, too, like empty
there was.
soda bottles and stuff,
Yeah.
And, this is an association neighborhood where they come around and they ticket you for having longer than normal grass or a weird color in your front yard. So it's weird when there are houses that stand out
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they didn't cut the lawn for a while, and whatever. So
we knew what house it was.
Yeah, so now I know what house it was. So I'm thinking, okay. So I'm walking. I kid you not, another person stops me. Same story. Not the same person. Same story. Same thing. You need to keep that dog. Do not let them have it back. So I'm like, okay. So I get home. We no longer walk Taco. Taco is now an complete indoor dog. I take him out back.
Well, and to be fair, like, the house was kind of big, and he's really little. So, like, running up and down and around the house, like, it was a lot of steps for him.
Yeah. And we did let him out back and stuff. He did get to go outside. It's just, we no longer walked. So, fast forward to Halloween. I don't even think it was that year, although it could have been. Within a year or two. Halloween.
Yeah, I want to say it was a year after, but, I mean, who knows?
Put little outfits on the dogs. We had 3 at the time. I dressed up all the dogs, dressed up the kids, and we're trick-or-treating. We go to pass by that house. Mind you, I am walking Taco, and he actually won an award for, like, cutest dog.
So he was noticeable.
Yes.
Because he was really freaking cute.
And he's white, so he's glowing in the dark. We go to walk by the house. The guy that owns Taco is standing outside on his phone. And I'm like,
Panic
I am a
mode.
thief. I have stolen your dog and I refuse to give him back. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm trying to kind of like hide the dog and like hurry the kids along and
we're not trick-or-treating from that house, kids.
I get like right up by him and he's on the phone. He turns, he looks at me, he looks at the dog and he turns his back. And I'm like, this is my dog.
He didn't claim ownership in that moment. Not that we would have given it to him anyways. I feel like this would have turned into a little dispute.
Yeah. No.
But
so
he abandoned the dog.
He abandoned the dog, and they moved a year or 2 after that, so
and
he
then
was able to walk again.
Then we could go on walks, so you're home free after that. That felt really good when he left, because now it wasn't
so
sneaky.
We've had Taco for like 10 happy years now,
Dog
so I think
thief.
he's...
Dog
thief. That's
thief.
my criminal history. I'm a horrible person. He's back to them if you can see him.
Doesn't he look so miserable? He just wants to go back home.
Okay, now for the...
I always wanted to know what his name was, though.
I know. I would like to have known. And I'm sure they weren't happy that we chopped his little parts off, but... That's how you have to, what you have to do. We register.
Yeah, clearly he hadn't registered Taco,
No. Stinking abusive people. Anyway.
Cut. Although, he's not registered right now, either.
That's because... Okay. He's not registered right now, but not because I'm horrible. It's because he had a reaction to the rabies shot, and he was miserable. And so I can't register him unless I get him the rabies shot. And I can't get him a rabies shot. And I tried to get, the vet to sign off on that, and the vet's like, I don't think it was that bad. I'm like, oh, come on. I had to take him to the vet twice. He was so sick. So I refused to put him through that again, so I can't register him. So I'm not... Okay, I'm a criminal for that, but...
She just told them that he had died.
Yeah, that worked. But he is
criminal, dog criminal.
He's microchipped. I'm always worried like he's gonna run away and they're gonna scan and be like,
deceased.
Wait, he's deceased. So yes, I'm horrible. You can put all your evil comments down below, but
that rabies reaction was a bad reaction. And didn't you ask if they could just give it to him in a smaller dose or something? And they said that's the minimum they have. But...
Yeah, and I asked them to give it to him in a different place because he'd had it before and been okay. I think they were doing it in his neck and he was okay, but they did it in his leg. Poor dog could barely walk.
Although, to be fair, he is a drama llama because we had another dog. He got headbutted by the dog, and then he stopped breathing for like 4 minutes, and Dad had to do like doggy CPR on him.
I don't know why she's laughing. This was not funny.
Because it's funny after the fact. Take him to the hospital.
He was paralyzed
for
like days.
They're like, he's not gonna make it. We're like, too bad. We're gonna take him back home. Took him home, and he wouldn't stand for days and days. You had to pick him up and bring him into the lawn, and then sit him down, and so he'd go pee, poop, whatever, bring him back, had to hand feed him. He was just being a drama. He's fine.
I had to flip him every 2 hours.
Because they said that he can't lay on one side for too long.
They said he was going to die, and then they called a few days later and said, well, how is he? And we're like, he's okay. He's walking and everything. And they said, but is he walking straight?
Well,
no. He never really
trips
walks
over
straight.
his feet a little bit, but he's fine.
One foot kind of turns under if he's not paying attention.
It's so pitiful.
I feel
it really
bad,
is kind of sad, but it's
whatever.
He's had an interesting life with us.
All right, so if you follow us on Instagram, well, me, us, whatever. If you saw on Instagram, you saw a rather disturbing photo I believe
that sounds bad.
Believe it
from
was,
when I murdered that man.
No, not that criminal history. We're not going to talk about that one. I think it was Thursday. Would you agree? She was supposed to come to work that day, but she called in sick. Drama llama.
I'm not saying I'm not a drama llama, but I could work either Thursday or Friday. I didn't feel good when I woke up Thursday, so I was like, I'll work Friday instead.
I think she did this. I think you said it. So Thursday, it was probably about 4:30 in the afternoon. I was working. My husband texted me, and he said, hey, is my TWIC code in the mailbox? TWIC is, it's like a security clearance thing. In order to get into the port area of like Long Beach, they have a security so that you don't go.
Security card for port areas.
Yeah. And so he was supposed to get it because he had to do a delivery. And I said, USPS, I haven't seen it. But, I'll tell you what, I'll go out and check the mail in a little bit. And he said, okay, great. So I was working along. And for some reason, I decided to look out the window. I mean, I do it periodically throughout the day. But it's not like I do it every 5 minutes.
And the window looks out to the front of the house from the office. Because we work from home, in case you didn't know that.
Well, I sit, it's right outside the window, it's rose bushes, and then I can see, like, in the distance, the hill that's across the street.
And houses.
Except for where I'm sitting, I can't really see because the rose bush is kind of tall. So I turned my head to look out the window, and I jerked it back. I saw rose bush, I saw brown, and I saw orange. There was fire. All I could see was rose bush, fire, and smoke. Fire was coming towards the house. I mean, it's literally across the street. I didn't know what to do in that moment. I didn't actually believe that I saw it, so I stood up and I looked out the window. And would you believe it was still fire?
What?
It was not an optical illusion. It's not like the rose bushes were breathing smoke and fire and
pollen, an excessive amount of pollen.
No, it was an actual forest fire coming towards the house. There's no firemen. There's no warning. It doesn't smell like smoke. There's nobody outside doing anything about this. Just little old me looking out the window. So I literally run while I'm screaming, Steve! 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 Because he was the only one home. Steve is my son. He was upstairs in his room. I scream Steve. I'm running up the stairs, screaming Steve. It's like a dream where you're like swimming. Like I could not run fast enough upstairs. Steve! I get upstairs. He's just coming out of his room. He told me later that he was relieved because he thought something was wrong with one of the birds. And so he was relieved that it was a forest fire. But I said, look out the window. There's a fire. He doesn't use foul language. I don't use foul language, but I'm pretty sure one or both of us may have said a bad word in that moment. So we looked out the game room door. Not an optical illusion. Still fire. Still coming towards the house. So I tell him, you call your dad. I'm going to call 911. We need to get the birds. And the dog. The dog is included.
Dog's super easy to... You just nab him and he sits on a lap. Birds are more complicated.
They don't sit so well.
And they don't come out of cages so nice if it's not their scheduled time to come out of their cage.
And they're a little, terminally ill if they get too much smoke. They don't do well with smoke. So I grab my phone. I mean, it's in my hand, but like I pull it up. I go to call 911 and the circuits are busy. And I'm like, WTF? Because like, there's a fire right there. You need to take my call.
Which is probably why the circuits were busy. But
fair enough. So Steve was already calling my husband, and they said, I'm going to go use the landline. So I ran downstairs to the office. I grabbed the landline.
She has a landline.
Thank goodness.
It's weird.
I called 911 on the landline. She answered immediately. And she said, are you calling about the fire? And I said, yes. And she said, is a structure in danger? I said, yes. She kind of perked up a little, because I think probably the bulk of the calls that they'd been getting were like people on the freeway that could see in the distance there's a fire someplace. She's like, oh, how soon before the structure is in like on fire? Like I can't remember how she worded it, but it was like, how soon before you die? And I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. She's like, you can see the fire? I'm like, oh, yes, I'm looking out the window. It's across the street. It's coming towards my house. Maybe 10 minutes. She's like, okay. What's your address? So I tell her, and she's like, can you repeat the numbers? And so I tell her again. She's like, okay, I'm sending help. I need you to get your family members and get out now. And I said, okay, thank you. And I hung up. So now I'm running through the house. Steve! Steve! 911! on. They said to get out. I don't think they knew the fire was on this side of the mountain. We need to go. So I grab 3 of the 4 bird cages. Kevin, he's a hyacinth. If you want to see him, he's at the very end of episode 1. Kevin Momo is huge. Without his tail, he's yay big. With his tail, he's yay big.
Therefore, his cage is a dog crate.
It's massive. It takes 2 people to move it. It is huge. But his dog carrier is a bird crate. His bird carrier is a dog crate. Unfortunately, it was in the garage. So Steve grabbed that. By the time I got Ami out of his cage and into the travel cage, Steve had gotten 2 of the other birds. Ami normally steps up for me, no problem. He's African gray. He just pops right up and he's fine. And he doesn't like bite. He's a piece of cake. He felt my fingers shaking and saw the look on my face. And while he stepped up with 1 foot, he felt it and was like, whoa. And he turned and grabbed onto the cage. And I'm like trying to tug him out. And he's like, no. So finally he let go and I whooshed him out and got him in the cage. Tango, the cockatoo. He is going through a phase right now. I think it's called puberty. And he doesn't like anyone but my husband. Which is a total switch because for a long time he didn't like my husband. I can't pick him up. He's scared of me.
He
doesn't
like
women.
Women pick him up.
I can pet him. I cannot pick him up. Steve used to be able to do anything to him. Now he can't pick him up. So here's Steve running through the living room with a chicken. He's not really a chicken, but I call him a chicken. With a cockatoo racing around. He can't get him to step up. And the birds are like, what are you doing? Why are you chasing me? Steve was willing to risk every finger on his hands to get that bird. And he did. And he did not even get bitten. But he got him in there. And that was like the hugest relief of all. I didn't know what we were going to do if we couldn't get the birds. So now we have all the birds all lined up, all in the cages. And my husband calls me and he says, I don't think you should leave. And I'm like, ha 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 ha, the fire's coming towards the house. I'm leaving. And he said, no, I don't think you should leave. He said, if you leave, it's probably going to be 4 days before they let you back. If then. And I was like, oh, yeah. No, I'm leaving. Thanks. And he's like, the fire isn't going to get the house. I said, no, the fire's coming down the hill. He said, fire doesn't want to go downhill. It wants to go uphill.
Well, it's already coming down the hill. It is down the hill. It has come down the hill.
Oh my God.
Down the hill it has come.
You come home and tell the fire it doesn't want to come downhill because from the second I saw it, it was coming downhill.
Is this the point at which he calls Steve, FaceTime Steve, to see it?
Steve had FaceTimed him when he was still upstairs before
right.
the whole bird thing, so he saw it. He knew what, but he still said, send me a picture. And Steve's like, I'm FaceTiming you. He's like, yeah, but I want you to send me a picture, because I think he wanted to be able to study it. I don't know. But my husband dropped everything. He was on his way home. By the time he called me, he had already, I don't even know if he took his computer. Like, he just stood up and left. He was coming home. He's like, I don't think I'm going to be able to get in, because presumably the police have it blocked off. And he said, I don't think you should leave. And I'm like, yeah, I just don't feel comfortable, like, with the birds and the fire. Yeah. I think we should go. And he said, look, if one of the houses, like, across the street catches on fire, you absolutely need to leave. So you need to have the birds packed up. But I don't think you should leave yet. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm willing to wait a little bit. We're still kind of packing stuff up.
It's their house, a row of houses, hill. Like,
fire.
Right behind those houses. Fire hill, right here. Other houses, street, their house. So if those houses caught on fire, problem. And I pointed out later, another sign you should leave is if FlossCheck gets on your house, yes. That means it's time to leave. Or if all the firefighters on your street leave. If they pull out, that's when you should leave. Because firefighters, and I know because not only am I marrying one, but I've seen them many times now, they will stand on the ridges of mountains where fire is coming up those ridges, and they are very good at telling if that fire is not going to be able to be contained in an area. So if they leave, they know there's nothing they can do to stop that fire. So if they leave, you need to leave. Now, this is not saying you should not evacuate when people tell you to evacuate. Do not listen to us. What we did was wrong. Bad.
But let me explain why we never left. So, by the way, FlossCheck is that reddish, pinky stuff that comes out of planes.
Some people probably don't even know that because they don't live in fire areas.
Yeah. Planes,
big, like, they actually have, like, 747 planes.
It's a DC-10, but...
Okay, whatever.
But it's like a commercial airliner.
Giant planes. They get pumped full of this bright red,
reddish, orange, pink
goo stuff, and they fly over to try to stop the fire, and they drop all this stuff in front of where the fire is coming, or on homes, depending. So that way, when the fire burns to that point, it's a fire retardant, and it can't burn very fast through that stuff, so it's a lot easier to contain it. And then, meanwhile, there's helicopters and other planes that drop
generally the
water.
helicopters doing water, the planes tend to be fast track, at least in our experience. This is not a first fire.
I think because helicopters can hover over water sources, so they go
Suck it up.
over like lakes and stuff, and then they have this big little penis-looking tool thing.
I call it a dongle, but whatever. It's like a big hose with like a filter so they don't suck up fish.
Suck stuff up, and then they fly over, and they do this crazy flying.
Kim's going, ugh.
I know.
He's telling me not to leave.
Yeah.
Unless the houses across the street catch on fire. In the meantime, Steve and I... for a long time I was holding Taco. I was running frantically with Taco because I felt like I needed to protect him, but then I realized I'm not going to lose him. Like, he follows me like a puppy dog. So I eventually put him down and used 2 hands to do things. So Steve and I are trying to load the vehicles with, important things, but spur of the moment like that, it's hard to know what's important. Previous fires, they're coming. Like, they start over there, the news tells you, or you see the smoke, and social media says stuff, and it's headed towards you, but you have hours, days, occasionally a week. It's coming. This, I saw it and called 911. There was no time to think. Mm-hmm. So, my husband says, before he got off the phone, he said, you need to run through no. Don't literally run, because it would make you sick and everybody watching sick. But video the contents of the house so that the insurance knows what we have, because you don't want to try to say, I have a Peloton, and they're like, no, you don't, or, I have a one-of-a-kind something, and, like, keto. I have this valuable keto. Don't worry, I took keto. So, we're trying to load things, but he has the Cadillac, which is an SUV, and it's the only thing that really fits Momo's cage. I have the truck, and while you could put it in the back, you don't want the bird in the back.
For so many reasons.
Smoke, with the
wind,
with
heat.
Scary, all the noises. The street was filled with emergency vehicles at this point. The
within
police
just
came
like 2 minutes.
Yeah, and then the fire, literally they blocked our driveway, the whole street, because it was crazy.
Their street is the closest to the fire that was threatening buildings. So
and
they
it's
were
a cul-de-sac.
at the end of the cul-de-sac, and they had blocked off the street down where it starts.
And then it was just fire engines up and down the street, and crews and police cars, and it was crazy. So I needed to leave the back seat open for Momo's cage, because we can get it in there, it's just really difficult. And then I was going to take Taco, and Steve was going to take the other 3 birds. This was the plan. Excuse me. So, we're loading up, not the birds, because we don't want them to be in the smoke, so we're loading up things in the car. I grabbed keto and the Chatelaine, and my to-go Stitchy bag that had Language of the Flowers, but I didn't know what was in it. And I didn't take, the accoutrement. I didn't take the floss for keto. It's not like I was going to sit in the truck and stitch. I just wanted to make... I would have been devastated. I know that's ridiculous. Just people screaming, you should take pictures. You should have just gotten out. You should... What the heck is wrong with you? But, I would have been...
We're all stitchers here. We all understand. You grabbed the
keto.
Stitchy first. And I want to point out, my universe in a jar was downstairs. She never grabbed it.
I didn't realize it was down there.
She was willing to let that burn.
It didn't matter.
That 2-year piece was fine to let go.
You saved it. It didn't matter. Whatever. I didn't know it was there. But, so... I keep going outside to load stuff, and my husband, we have, I've told you before, we have sprinklers that he can control through his phone. He turned on the sprinklers. Mind you, it was about 100 degrees outside. He turned on the sprinklers, and I'm trying to run through the grass to load up the truck, and the sprinklers were on. And at first, I was really annoyed, why did he turn the sprinklers on? Then I was like, oh, duh, to keep the house from catching on fire. That was probably a really smart idea, because I was watching firemen running into people's backyards with their hoses. They're hosing down houses and things on that side. That's never something you want to see. But the police were, telling people, mandatory evacuation, you need to get out of here. Some neighbors were just standing there in shock, staring. Some neighbors, you saw them killing computers and things out. I'm not suggesting you rob anyone on the street. I'm just saying.
I don't think they were either. They just...
They had some valuables.
They had their own, important items.
And then you saw some people actually, filming and running towards stuff. It was a lot of chaos. There was ash falling, and it was, overcast. It was super windy. Fire makes wind, and it was windy, and I don't ever want to go through that again. I have PTSD from this. I don't mean that in an offensive way. I realize my experience is not as bad as, say, Vietnam or whatever, but for little me that's not usually exposed to terrifying things, and having been the one to look up and see it, I will never, ever forget that moment. So Steve and I get things loaded up in each of our cars, and we go back inside, and we gone upstairs because we have a really good view from the game room because there's a balcony, but we were not going out there, but you can see straight down and you can see the whole fire. We'll show you pictures and video of stuff. And so we were watching to see. And at this point, Cal Fire had shown up, and they're more like the forest fire fighting kind of people. It's not just the local fire departments, although they are extremely valuable too. But once Cal Fire comes in, I mean, they drive right up the road.
The dirt road, the access roads.
And they get out there with the hoses and the thingies, and they do thingies. So they were out there, so I was pretty relieved to see them, and they did drive right back up there. And so I get a text, and my husband says, the police are going to call you. And my phone was downstairs. I mean, my cell phone was with me, but when
Had you called me at this point?
No.
Okay.
No, I had called 911 on
the landline.
I was trying to think. I don't think I had called you yet. I think it was right after this. Okay. Yeah, I think it was right after this when I called you. He said the police are going to call you. Well, my phone was downstairs, so I'm going downstairs to get it. So I don't know, why am I special? Why are the police going to call me? And then he said, when they knock on the door, don't answer. And I'm like, well, should I answer the phone? And he's like, they're not going to call you. I'm like, but I don't. I'm already in panic mode. Like, just, please, what are you talking about? Turned out, I can't tell you like play by play what happened. I can only tell you what he told me after, and I can kind of combine it into a coherent story for you, and she can add in, because at some point I did call her. He had gotten to where he should have been able to get into the neighborhood, and it was blocked off. And so he was talking to the police officer, and he told them that he needed to get in because he had a large enough vehicle for me to be able to get an endangered exotic species out of the house. And so he had to prove where he lived, which he did. And they said, oh, that's like right in the fire. And he's like, yeah, I know. That's why I need to get in there and help my wife. And he's like, no, you can't go in there. And he's like, no, I have the only vehicle that can do this. I need to get in there. And he said, well, let me talk to the other officers. So he radioed the officer, I believe, on our street, and said, hey, this guy's wife is in there. He needs to get in. And they said, oh, hell no, he's not coming in here. The fire's like right there. Besides that, the fire engines have blocked everything. They can't get out. They're going to have to walk out.
Carry birds, just grab birds and walk.
Not even that. Like, they're just like, you have to walk out. So he texted and said, don't answer the door. They're sending an officer to help you leave, but they won't let you take the birds. They're going to make you walk out of the house and down the street. No animals, nothing. Just you and Steve. And I'm like, oh, hell no. I'm not leaving the birds behind. I'm not leaving the dog. Like, these are my baby children. No, I'm not doing it. Like, I will... Steve and I had a plan. Don't think that we're monsters. Steve and I had developed a plan after he told us this, where I would take the two small cages that have handles, and I would walk with Taco. He has a leash and everything. And I would take
even if he didn't, he'd follow you.
True. I would take those two and Taco, and I would walk out. And Steve would take Tango in a cage that... Tango probably wouldn't bite Steve, but he was willing to risk his fingers anyway because there's no handle on it. So he would have taken that cage, and he would have taken Momo out of the cage and clamped him, because he can't really fly. He's clipped, but he can sort of fly because we need to update his clipping, and walk out, and we would just...
Without a cage.
Because there's no way we're leaving them behind. And then we would find Mike someplace, and I don't know what we'd do with Momo at that point, but
shove him
we
in the
would
car.
figure it out. So that was a backup plan. So don't think at any point that we were like, we're going to die in this house. That was not the plan.
But we weren't just going to leave them
Yeah.
and then not have the option to remove them.
So, sure enough, a few seconds later, ding dong, and then pounding, and pounding, and pounding, and the police were trying to get us to come out, and Steve and I had the birds upstairs in the game room, and the dog, and we were like hiding on the floor, like, you're going to have to come in and get us. And so after a while, he walked away, and that officer radioed to the officer where my husband was and said, she's not responding. And my husband said, of course she's not. You won't let her take the birds. There's no way she's going to respond. So they wouldn't let him in, and
So he turned around,
I
right?
couldn't go out, so he turned around to try to find another way in.
Because there's multiple ways into the neighborhood. That was just the easiest from work. So there's a nice little workaround. There's different little parts you can go into. So he was just hoping to get lucky somewhere else.
So I think this is the point where I called Alyssa, because I had texted her before, but she didn't see the text.
No, we were watching some show or something. I think we were eating dinner or whatever. And so I hadn't seen the text, but she called, and I felt the call on the sofa or whatever, and I answered. She's like, yeah, so there's a fire. And I was like, oh. She's like, it's like right across the street, and like we're being evacuated. I'm trying to get everybody out, but also like we're trying to stay here, and there's fire. I was like, wow, can you FaceTime? She FaceTimed, and at this point, the fire was no longer on that hill. It had burned down over here, right? So now it's on the other side of the hill that's actually closer to them, and it's coming up this side of the hill, right? And so obviously it had come down the side on that hill, right? So now we're worried that it's going to come over the ridge on this side and come towards the house and whatever. And I think she said that Dad wasn't able to get in, or that they didn't think he was going to get in. I'm not sure. And, she's just like
freaking out.
And I said, well, Jacob's a firefighter. He has a firefighter ID. Do you want us to head over there and we will try to get in? I mean, at least we'd have another set of hands. Jacob could drive another vehicle. We can help you load up the cars. I mean, assuming that they'd let us through the lines, because he's a firefighter and typically they'll let you in because, they know he knows what fire looks like and what to do and when it's dangerous, right? And she's like, yeah, I mean, if nothing else, that would make us feel better. So I say, oh, absolutely. So we immediately stop what we're doing. We hop in the car, we grab water bottles, we have masks in the car because COVID, and so we hop in the car and we leave. And then Dad calls us and he's like, are you on your way? And I said, yeah, we're coming. We're still like by our house because it takes like 10 minutes to get to the freeway. But yeah, we're on our way. He's like, if you can find a way to find me and pick me up and then drive, we can drive the Cadillac in with Jacob's fire ID, that would be best because we need the big car and the car we have is not big. And I said, yeah, but you're on the wrong side. Like, because he explained to me where the blockades were and there was no easy way for us to get to where he is, especially because he already has a head start on moving, right? So I told him, we're going to try to access it from the way I always drive to work, right? And if that doesn't work, we'll meet and try to figure something out. But, try to work your way around to us so that way we can meet.
The traffic was horrific because not only was it rush hour traffic, but a lot of people were leaving and a lot of people are trying to come in.
Yeah, and a lot of looky-loo stuff too because it's a fire, right? So we get up, eventually we get up close to the neighborhood and you can see the fire on the hill right there. And we were able to get shockingly close without even seeing anybody blocking any roads. So we get within 2 or 3 streets of the house and we meet with Dad and we hop in the Cadillac. And actually from accessing it from this way, we didn't have any problems. There were officers all along the road and they were turning around people that looked confused. So as long as you drove with confidence and like, I'm, going, they didn't have a problem. So we weaved around fire personnel. We pulled over for fire trucks that were coming through. There's people all up and down the streets because the fire is like over here. Their house is like, I don't know if you can see. Fire's over here, their house is over here, and the road runs like this, right? So we're over here. So all these people, they're not really in immediate danger. It really is localized to the cul-de-sac.
To my house!
To her house, basically, yeah. Because it would take a long time for it to come. Not like long time, but like long
10
enough
minutes.
time. So these people are all just hanging out. So we get up to, there's an intersection right here, and then there's like maybe 5 houses on this cul-de-sac. I mean, it's like really small, this cul-de-sac where they live. And we're up at this intersection, and there's a motorcycle officer that's leaving from the cul-de-sac, and he stops us. So Jacob has his ID ready, Dad has his proof of residency ready and stuff, and the dude's like, the officer's like, where are you going? He's like, the house is right here. Our house it's right here, and I'm just trying to get home so I can grab stuff. And he's like, which house? And both Dad and Jacob are like, right, it's like, because he stopped us, like, the house before our house. And he's like, oh, it's right there. And Dad's like, yeah, please, can we just park? And he says, sorry, it's time to change. He's like, yeah, you can park, just make sure you park in the driveway. And we're like, yeah, because you don't want to block the street because
it's already blocked by fire. We literally could not have left.
So thankfully Jacob didn't need to use his ID. We just pulled into the driveway. So we pulled up into the driveway, and thankfully it looked a lot better at this point. I mean, Jacob popped out, and he's like, you guys are probably okay.
Fire air support.
Lots of air support
There were
arrived.
2 helicopters, 2 small planes, and the DC-10. DC-9? DC-7. DC-10.
DC number.
The big commercial plane. They were all out here.
And at this point, the fire crews were on the ridge. Like, the ridge that if the fire came down, then it would be a real threat. They were on that ridge. So that's how you know it most likely was not going to come over that ridge, at least not right now. So we're like, you're probably okay, but it's good that we're all here. It's good that we're able to like make sure all the animals are okay and we're all together. And if we needed to, we have, 6 sets of hands to move stuff instead of 4.
And 2 people that can drive stick shift.
Yeah.
Whereas before there was 0. I mean, I could have, but not that
Right.
close. The second moment I'll never forget, maybe the first one was looking up and seeing the fire. The second one was when the 3 of them walked in the game room. I have never been so happy in my life. It took off so much pressure.
It's so much better when you're not alone.
You didn't feel like it was
Not that
all on.
Steve,
But Steve was
but
so much calmer than I was. Like, he handled it so well. I was so impressed. But still, that pressure's on you. Do we stay? Do we go? Like, we're having to make this decision together. And now there's, a whole group of us. So when it calmed down a little bit more, the men folk went out on the balcony and were filming and stuff. So the police had kind of stopped kicking people out so much at that point.
Yeah.
They'd sort of calmed down.
Because really, I mean, there were at least 2 helicopters and at least 2 planes just cover, and it ended up not being very many acreages, so they were able to really fight hard on that residential line without having to worry about how much further it's spreading in other directions, because it was mostly just coming towards residential. So once they, got that line pretty secured, it was pretty easy to, I mean, I say easy, I didn't do it, but it didn't take, compared to how some of our California forest fires go, it didn't take a whole lot of time for them to really just pat down that fire until it wasn't a fire anymore.
So after the fact, I think what happened, I mean, they're investigating, but I think it's ocean, but I think it started on the other side of the mountain, came up, and they probably were fighting on that side, like they had gotten the call on that side, and didn't realize that it had gone over the top and was coming down towards another residential area. And so I think I'm not saying it was because I called 911, I'm sure a bunch of us called 911, but she truly seemed surprised when I said, yeah. I think that's how they responded so quickly. And they were literally on the street for days. I mean, there's still fire trucks that drive up and down even today.
Because you have to remember, too, it is so hot here. I mean, it is between 100 and 110 every day, and it's so easy for that hot soil to keep a hot ember in there. And then, like, yesterday when I left, it was pretty windy, and so that all it needs is to spark that up and then carry it just one hill over, and then you have another little fire there. So there was constantly fire crews patrolling. I even saw a helicopter fly over, and I'm pretty sure they were making sure they don't see anything. There's no smoke. There's no bright spots, hot spots. There's nothing.
So we went to bed.
We stayed there until like 9:30, and we all ended up on the balcony watching the
It
crews.
did keep kicking up, and they would suppress it, and then it would kick up, and they would suppress it, and you could see the hot spots.
And thankfully, the wind really died down. By the time we got there, it wasn't windy anymore, which is a huge blessing, because the number one reason houses burn down is because embers get pushed into eaves from the wind, and then your attic catches on fire, and that's like 90% of the time why a house catches on fire due to a forest fire. So it's super good when there's no wind, because
so we went to bed.
Pretty safe.
Kind of hoped everything would be okay. About 11 o'clock, I still couldn't sleep. I mean, I was stressed. And I started to smell smoke. Because we'd been really lucky that it didn't smell that badly of smoke. But I was smelling smoke in the bedroom. And so I got up. Yeah, it was kind of smoky. So we shut off the AC, which sucks because, it's still in the upper 80s.
All night.
Yeah, so I woke up. Well, I didn't wake up. I was never asleep. I got up and I told Steve, like, hey, I turned off the AC. This is why. And he's like, yeah, it is a little bit smoky. Went to bed. about 12:30, he woke me up and he said, "It's really bad. We have to do something." And I went downstairs and you could see the smoke in the bottom of the house. And that's where the birds are. I mean, it wasn't like choking, like I can't see anything smoke, but like it had a haze all through the house and it was pretty strong. So we started bringing birds and stands and cages and things upstairs, but of course I had to wake up my husband to get Tango, and so the birds spent the night in Steve's room. And
it looked like a little zoo.
we kept him on that side because his room is on the opposite side from the fire, and we kind of tried to keep everything as closed up as much as possible. And the next day it was smoky again, and oh God, the smoke was so bad.
And then I was driving to work because I called out sick Thursday, so I had to work Friday. So I was driving over here Friday, and I get on the freeway, I get close, and I see, you know, a little pillar of smoke, which isn't, honestly, it's not that weird to see in California. Little fires pop up all the time, all over, but it was in their area, and I was like, So I get off the freeway, and I'm driving through their neighborhood, and I can't see the fire, but I can see that it is just like a few streets down from where this other fire started, and you can tell it's new, but you can tell people called because a fire engine was racing that way. So it was new and people called. But I walked in the door, I'm like, "Hey." She's like, "Hi." I said, "Okay, don't be worried, but there is another fire, and it's like just a little bit down that way." She's like, "What? No." And thankfully they took care of it really quick. Was never a threat to us, but
So fast forward.
But maybe another case of arson, right?
Yeah, pretty sure.
See,
Because there's
pretty
no reason that would have caught on fire. This is a trail. Maybe someone was smoking. Like, it's possible this wasn't arson. But that one, it's not people-y over there. There's no reason for anything to catch on fire over there.
We have a history of crazy arsons in California.
Yeah, it's pretty sure it's arson. But they're investigating. And there was a fire Monday a little bit further that way. So 3 in the course of a week? That's a little odd. So fast forward. We went to the cabin. It got smoky, less smoky, but friends of ours that were at their cabin said it was actually smoky at the cabin. So we didn't want to bring the birds.
Because there's a lot of fires going on right now. Like,
yeah.
There's big fires. I think we're actually technically in a state of emergency.
Yeah, we are.
Because of fire. Because that's how California is.
We didn't want to bring the birds up because it's going to be crazy hot, and there's no AC up there, and there's no way to really vent without sucking in more air, and it just seemed too risky, and Steve said he'd be a lot more comfortable here with the birds. We left the Cadillacs so that he could get them all out if he needed to. Like, still stuff was to go. Like, all the cages were out, and, like, we had things still in bags, like, if we have to go.
It'd be quick.
And I told him, if a fire starts, you need to get out, but you also need to call me so I can tell you, like, what Stitchy stuff to take. So we go to the cabin, checking in with Steve all the time. Excuse me. And then, I don't know if it was Saturday or Sunday. It was Saturday, because we went for a walk Saturday morning. We bumped into a whole bunch of Cal Fire people. We went like, "Hi, you guys are awesome." But they were hiking uphill, and we told them they were stupid. They should go downhill. Like, we were way easier. But anyway, we hiked around, and I joked with them that it would suck if a fire started uphill, because they're all tired now from the uphill hike. Ha 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 ha. A few hours later, kind of smelled a little bit of smoke, but kind of didn't. Like,
again, it's pretty normal.
Yeah, it could have been one of the more distant fires, so I didn't really think much of it. Then I saw 3 fire engines go up the hill, which is dead end up there, and I'm like, that's concerning. Looked on the Facebook page, and somebody said, yeah, we had a thunderstorm, and someone said it was a lightning strike, and something's on fire, but they thought it was over here. And I was like, oh, okay, over there is less scary than, over here. But as the conversation continued, it turned out it was above our cabin. And then a different cabin owner called us because he wasn't up there, and he's like, "Hey, I'm seeing that there's a fire on the street that we live on. Is everything okay?" And we were like, yeah, we've seen fire engines and we sort of smell smoke, but we don't see anything. We'll check it out and let you know." So we hop in the car and we go up the hill. We can't find the firemen. We can't find the fire. We can't find nothing. So we drive all the way back down, drive down the highway a bit. We still can't see anything, so we figured everything must be fine. But this is like Plague 7, this fire thing, right? Turns out it was a fire, it was by the cabin, it was lightning. We were just going kind of the wrong way. It was back where we had hiked that morning, like exactly where Cal Fire had gone, but a bit further. So we knew it was possible it's down that road, but we didn't want to go down that road because it's very narrow, and not that we're scared, we've been back there many times, but if fire is trying to come and go, we don't want to be in the way, and we don't want to delay anything. And we did joke about sending the drone up. Well, it was a fire. Totally kidding. So there was a fire. They did get it out quickly. It was okay. But I'm done with fire. I've had enough fires. If we could just stop this Plague 7 now, I would appreciate it. And there was a news story. There's a wild pig. And apparently there's a wild pig problem in my neighborhood. It was literally on the corner.
Wild pigs, man.
Wild pigs might be Plague 8.
Wild pigs. All right. Goodbye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
We will see you next week or the week after. Bye. Don't catch on fire.